Hello, all you hardcores out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Poker's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. I say the things on here that nobody dares say. We've got Richard on this morning uh, for his debut. Soon as he, oh, as soon as he click ask to unmute. Here we go. We always have this with people on debuts. Here we go. How you doing, Richard?
Can you hear me, Ross?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. What area are you from, Richard?
I live in Chester.
Chester. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
out Wales way, innit?
yeah, North Wales, just on the border. So yeah, it's sort of like in between. Where can I say? Going towards sort of Liverpool way that way.
Yeah.
The Wirral.
How long you been a boxing fan, Richard?
Oh, I'm 54 years of age, so I would have thought sort of since sort of like the start of the 80s, and sort of like I got into it mainly which we'll get onto really, because when he was on BBC and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I've always been into the fighters that are pugilists, the ones that hit and don't get it. So I really got into it with people like Errol Bomber Graham, to be fair. And I've always liked those sort of like quirky fighters that sort of like dance around the ring and poke fun at everybody else.
What, like Johnny Horsecock style?
Yeah, well, that's a bit different. He did that through fear, didn't he? Whereas some of them do it through talent.
Hey, listen, Johnny Horsecock is the most cunning man to ever come out of Sheffield, let me tell you, because he can't fight, can he? Of
No, for his limited talent, when you look at what he actually achieved, it's incredible, really, isn't it?
course it is, yeah. He can't fight, and he doesn't know nothing about boxing, telling people that it's squeaky bum time for Joshua because he's fighting Eric Molina because he's seen Eric on pads.
That's it. You couldn't
And then he
write
can
it.
see how Tackham's like Holyfield and George Foreman rolled into one.
Yeah, yeah, he can talk the talk. That's the truth. But he can never walk the walk boxing wise, could he?
Yeah. Getting back to Horsecock, do you think they should give him a higher position at Sky and promote from within? I do.
Yeah, definitely. He deserves his opportunity. He's been there over 20 years now, and when you look at how boxing's going in this country, they've pulled the plug on it practically. Sky have. TNT have pulled the plug on it, and yeah, he deserves his flowers a little bit more. So I'll give him the opportunity. Yeah, there's not a lot of better people out there, really, is there?
Well, no, and there ain't like. But what do you think really happened with Super Bean?
Well, whether that ever comes out in the wash, obviously it was alleged he got gambling problems and so forth. So that's got to be the crux of the matter. But I think there's more to it than just that. And if you look at any walk of life, when people have got problems, either with alcohol, drugs, gambling problems, etc., usually the employer he gets around them and sort of like does well for him, whatever. But he just got bombed out totally. So whether you never know what's gone on there, and whether it actually ever comes out, I don't know. But I think there's more to it than just meets the eye with his gambling problems.
Well, they never gave him his flowers after beating cancer and coming back. There were no job waiting for him and no send off for Super Bean. So,
Allegedly,
on it.
allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, allegedly. Right, I wish they'd come and sue me. I'd love to get them. I'd get all the phones and on disclosure, they'd all be locked up. Right, I don't know how good your boxing knowledge is. Obviously, you've been watching sport since it were Barney Eastwood and Errol Bomber Graham, who technically, in my opinion, stunk every arena out he ever fought in.
He
But
did, yeah. He was unlucky though when Julian Jackson clobbered him in the last 12th round that time when he should have won the title, wasn't he? Really?
well, that was fourth round, and to be honest with you, if you're getting knocked out in fourth round in a fight, I don't call that unlucky, me, to be honest. I call it careless, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't want up too much. If it's 12th round, yeah. But like Jermaine Taylor were unlucky against the Cobra, but it's a 12 round fight, isn't it? 36 minutes.
Yeah, it goes right to the end.
So I keep people always say to me, "Oh, you're unlucky against Julian Jackson. He won first 3 rounds." Listen, anybody who wins the first 3 rounds today and they got knocked out in four, people don't say they're unlucky, do they? It's
No, no,
it's nostalgia that they would have liked to have seen him win it. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. Because he were good enough and he should have had maybe a world title when he fought the body snatcher, Mike
yeah,
McCallum. He
yeah,
didn't
that's
get the
right.
rub of the green, but that's boxing, innit? You dust your son down and you go again. It's like a 2-year-old kid. He falls over, he gets back up. A 22-year-old kid falls over, he goes crying to his mammy, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. I think in the day, Nigel Benn wanted no part of him, though. I think because that
No,
fight was
he
offered
didn't.
to him.
No, he didn't, because he would have scolded him. Right, well, we'll start with an easy one. We'll talk about the heavyweights, what's going on in the heavyweight division. 'Cause it's your debut, and I suppose everybody knows about the blue ribbon division, don't they? So let's light the torch paper, as Super Beam would say. It's Big Freeze against TKV for British title. What do you make of that fight for both men?
Well, firstly, I think it's a refreshing change. It's on BBC Two,
Hmm?
which I think putting it out to the audience on BBC is brilliant. It's Ben Shalom's first dabble on BBC Two with boxer, so it's brilliant to see. I think the last time boxing was on the BBC was your mate Clinton Woods in 2005.
Yeah, Clinton Woods on a Big Ron show.
Yeah, and I think it's brilliant because the amount of eyes that'll be on that. When you look at, like I say, it said earlier, boxing, TNT are not showing anything hardly. Sky aren't showing anything hardly, and everything is now under the DAZN banner. And with everything going to Saudi Arabia and so forth, there's slim pickings for everybody else. And I just hope with this BBC deal with Ben Shalom, he makes it work properly. Don't start getting sort of like plastic boxers on and things like that. Do things like he's doing. British title fights. Some of the best fights I've ever seen aren't the big fights. They're area title fights, the British title fights. And if he goes down that route and he puts a bit of the prize fighter format in as well on a few of the dates, I think it'll do well and it'll get eyeballs again on the sport, which there's not enough eyeballs on our sport at the moment. And when you look what Saudi Arabia are doing, they're overpricing everything and it's having a knock-on effect for everything. So Jamie TKV against Fraser Clark, I think it's a cracking fight on BBC Two. I think the undercard's on the red button. So yeah, it's great to look forward to.
Okay. What do you think about these influencers like Jake Paul and that? Because didn't Jug Ears and people like Eddie Hills, when all this started off 5, 6 years ago, they were saying that these fans who were buying pay-per-views were going to trickle down into the sport of boxing. So 5, 6 years later, where are these fans? Because they said it had filtered to small hall, and small hall now they're having to bring curtains around when they've got 300 people at a show.
Yeah, like I say, it was never going to happen. That wasn't because casual fans. I've got friends who are casual fans who watch that rubbish. They're not interested in trade fights. They'll watch Jake Paul, but none of them watch Canelo against Crawford. And he was never ever going to trickle down. And this is what eventually is damaging boxing. And this is where it's hard to promote shows now because promoters can't make a profit on the small shows. The fighters want too much money, and so he was never going to work. He was going to create more damage to the sport than it was going to help.
Yeah. Okay, the Lazy Rhino against the Russian Grizzly Bear. Uh,
Yeah,
Next Saturday at Sheffield. What do you make of that for a fight, and who have you got?
I'm looking forward to it because like I'm in the Dave Allen camp like everybody else. I like Dave Allen. You can't not like him really. He seems a genuine sort of guy. But we've been here with him before. I think the worst thing that's happened to him in one way is with beating Elmer Fudd, he's got to get back in bed with Eddie Hills then. And the problem with that is that if he'd have gone down, I'd have preferred him gone down the British heavyweight title route and being one of either Fraser Clark or Jamie TKV. We've been here before with with Dave Allen. When he gets to a certain level, he just ain't got it. And when you look at David Price, how we put him on Button Moon, and then you look Matt Mudov, he's not that bad. His best two wins probably are Maris Wack and Carlos Taka. And he's also fought Caballel, which Caballel's a top class fighter. But we will see on the night. This is his big chance, Dave. I hope he wins. I do hope he wins, because then that'll put him into another stratosphere. And he wants to keep away then from Joshua if he does win. If he fights Wilder, I can see him beating Wilder if he keeps out the way of him. But sort of like, when you look at Dave, his best win's probably Nick Webb, donkeys years ago. And I think if he's done his cardio properly and he is proper fit, he's got a chance. But if he hasn't, I think Matt Mudov will just lean all over him. And my prediction is, I think in the later rounds, he's either going to get stopped late on or he'll lose on points.
If David loses, will they be able to rebuild him? Will it be
Yeah, yeah,
right 9.7?
yeah, I think they will, because I think what they'll do with him then is they'll push him down the British heavyweight route. So he's either going to fight Elmer Fudd again for the third time, or he's going to go, I would have thought, down the heavyweight title route and probably get the winner, Jamie TKV or Fraser Clark, something like that.
Okay. Moses Itauma, he's had 26 rounds. He's getting a bit of edge to him in his interviews. He's knocked back Frank Sanchez. He's sticking it to It's Big Freeze and David Adelaide. You think he's going about it all wrong? Right, I mean, this is a guy that said we're going to fight anybody, and he looks like he's knocked Frank Sanchez back because they want to protect his position. Do you think that's the best thing to do and learn from the mistakes Joe Joyce made?
Yeah, I think I can understand in the first instance when he came onto the scene and he was going to try and break Tyson's record. So therefore, pushing him and pushing him, fast tracking him to that world title. I can see why they did that. But once that was never going to occur, the best thing they can do with him is just not park him up, but get him out there and just protect him a little bit, because all those big heavyweights are getting older. And like Joshua did, you pick your moments and you bring him in and you pick your moments. He's so young, but he could be anything. He could. We haven't seen him hit on the whiskers yet, so like we've heard
Might never.
no, we've heard all this fanfare before. We heard Davy Price was the next coming, wasn't he? Till he got hit on the whiskers. So when he gets hit on the whiskers, we'll know more. But if I was the promoter, I'd just keep him ticking over and just pick the right moment to put him in the limelight. And eventually, yeah, I think he will be the next heavyweight coming.
Well, David Price has got 7 defeats on his CV, and they were all knockouts.
Yeah,
So everything that everybody said about him in amateurs, well, true, he couldn't hold the shot technically, but with way Frank Maloney were going, oh, sorry, Kelly Maloney, we don't want to get all woke here, Kelly Maloney were going on about him back in the day. He were going to kill us all in our beds. They were like King Kong stalking Empire State Building, wasn't he, or Godzilla?
he was till he knocked into Tony Thompson.
Yeah. Okay. Should Atoma, though, really hang on for Usyk and get the big 30-40 million so they can all get paid, them that are pouncing and living off him? Or do you think they'll just hang around and they'll fight an absolute nobody and prop that WBO up until Uncle Bricktop puts his foot down and either gets them a vacant belt, moves somebody into position who's absolute garbage, so they can then milk him and go the way that Eddie Hills did with Big Meat. You know, when they beat Charlie Martin, they didn't want to put him in with anybody after that, did they? They were very carefully matched for years and years. You think they'll go they'll copy that route?
Yeah, I definitely do, due to the fact that those belts have got to come fragmented at some point.
Yeah, yeah. And the WBO with Bricktop's influence there, it's looking like they're going to try and do something like, in my opinion, I think they'll do what the Joshua did with Charlie Martin and they'll milk him and milk him and milk him. And they'll try and get some big commercial endorsements for him being a young world champion, you know, like Ali, Floyd Patterson, Mike Tyson kind of thing, because he'd be at that similar age, wouldn't he? 20 to 22 kind of thing, you think?
Yeah, when you look at it with your head and not your heart, yeah, with your heart you want him to go in there, fight everybody, but with your head, at the end of the day, boxing's a business, and when you've got somebody like him,
Yeah, yeah. And obviously he's got Bricktop promoter,
yeah,
Bricktop son as manager. They've got in-house trainer, Ben, I will do as I'm told, Davidson, on the scene. And to me, it looks like they're going to do the Joshua route. Well, I know anyway because I speak to matchmakers on a daily basis, and that's what it looks like they're going to do. Because if you're knocking Frank Sanchez back, who's already been knocked about, but yet you're supposed to be this roadman, are you a roadman if you're knocking fights back like that? Because Joe Joyce didn't knock Zhang back. We built Joe up as this roadman, didn't we? With bone density 6 times stronger than the Bionic Man, Steve Austin's. Well, they did, didn't they? Sam Jones with his absolute waffle.
Yeah,
Had us all believing in it that he were going to be another Davy Price. They were going to kill us all. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
But the way I look at it is this. We all remember when Anthony Joshua were very highly ranked with the WBC and it looked like he were going to get in with Wilder. They saw what Wilder, they were going the WBC route because that's the belt he won. They saw Wilder do Audley Harrison and I was sat behind Barry Epstein that night and they were like, we're not putting our man in there with him or Luis Ortiz. That's why they signed Ortiz. So Joshua were a protected fighter from day one because of his whiskers. Yeah, they put Joshua in with Wilder and now he's shot to shit. But I think Bricktop will learn something and he'll think, do you know what? We're not going to risk a Toma. We could milk this kid 15 years here, and that's what I think they're going to do. They're not going to put him near any danger. They could talk Usyk, but then they'll fight Adelaide. Do you see where I'm coming from? That's the bottom line.
Totally and utterly. Like I said previously, it's a business, and if you look when they're adding the sums up, what they can potentially earn from him and for him by taking risks, he doesn't make business sense, does it?
No, no, it don't. Okay then. Uh, Joseph Parker against Wardley, 25 quid on the zone. Technically, if you want to break it down, we've got a Kiwi, Ponsing living over here off at back of Fury, right? And Wardley, who I think's done fantastic, but technically he's from the white collar. How can that be £25?
Well,
It's not for a belt.
he begs belief, and we're living in this day and age, like we touched on previously, where you want eyeballs on the sport, and just touching back to the boxer thing as well. The one thing that does my head in about boxing is when they put the same cards on the same night. So you've got Parker and Wardley pay-per-view, 25 quid, 25th of October. It's on the same night as Jamie TKV against Fraser Clark. It's on the same night also. I know it's not our sport, but that will also take eyeballs away. It's on the same night as UFC 321, Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion, who's a Brit, against Cyril Gann. And that's in our time zone because it's in Saudi Arabia. So they put everything on the same night. And how they can charge £25 for that, I will absolutely never know. But that's again, it's what you get through Saudi Arabia taking over the sport, and the prices have just gone up and up and up and up because they can't get off the subscriptions enough money to pay these people.
Yeah, yeah, good points, mate. Good point. Uh, Daniel Dubois is now being trained by Slow Tony over at the Matchroom Ed Honcho trainer, company man. Uh, do you think that Don Charles can count himself a little bit unlucky with what's gone on there with John Coffey?
Yeah, totally. Because Daniel Dubois, what does me head in? His father is a total idiot. He's a fool. And sort of how he portrays himself. If he doesn't look at himself in the mirror and think to himself, I'm not portraying myself for the best for my son here, I don't know what is. And at the end of the day, how many trainers has Daniel Dubois had now? You know what I mean? He's had one of the McGuigans. He's now on to Tony Sims. But yeah, he should have stayed with John Charles. John Charles, I think, given the personality of Daniel Dubois, was perfect for him because Daniel Dubois, he's like a little boy in a man's body. He hasn't got it psychologically. He hasn't got it intellectually, and he isn't the best of speakers. And Don Charles took all that away from him, and he spoke really for him. And he would have been that sort of father figure, that his arm around his shoulder, a balanced opinion instead of that lunatic of a father advising him. So yeah, I can only see one thing for Daniel Dubois. If he carries on going around all these trainers, he's just going to be on a slow decline.
Yeah, okay. Uh, Lawrence Okolie, two-weight world champion. He's only got one defeat on his record at cruiserweight. Had a couple of quick knockouts at heavyweight. Then got injured in Lorena fight, but got over the line and won on points. Had a lot of stick on social media. So has Joe G, but they're just piling wins up. He's WBC number one. Do you think he'll get his shot soon? Do you think he's just going to sit at that position and wait it out?
I think it's going to be difficult for him due to the fact his style. I still don't think. I think Joe G's getting there with him, but I've watched the majority of Lawrence Okolie fights, and wow, he's got to be the most boring boxer out there. That grab and hold style, he takes it to another level. And really, is he all that moving up to heavyweight? You know what I mean? Fair enough. He's sort of like he beat Glowacki for the cruiserweight title in 21. He got a good win against Isaac Chamberlain previous to that. But sort of like he lost to Chris Billum Smith not too long ago. And when you look at that Bridgerweight title he won, that was absolutely pony because you look at the bloke who he fought, that Rosansky, that Pole, oh my God, he wasn't even in this country. He wouldn't have even been area level. So his record, yeah, he looks impressive, but really, there's not a lot on it. And he's going to find it difficult because he hasn't got a following. He hasn't really got anybody who's really interested in him. So he's going to have to be positioned really well to get his opportunity. But I think it will come because I think all those belts will fragment. So eventually everybody will get the turn at it. So I can see him getting his turn at it in the future. And then we'll see.
Yeah. Do you think that Lawrence Okolie's problem is, even though he went to Olympics and he's a cruiserweight world champion, bridgerweight world champion, WBC number one heavyweight rank. He's in a fantastic position, but you think half of his problem is that he doesn't grasp social media like the Lazy Rhino and Big Elmer.
Well, yeah, because that's all promoters are looking for in this day and age, isn't it? You look at how that Misfits is taken off and everything, and everybody's dipping the toe in that, and that's because social media profile. In this day and age, 2025, if you haven't got social media profile, you're going to get left behind. It doesn't matter who you are. You look at probably pound for pound, the best boxer in the world is Terence Crawford, in my opinion. And he hasn't got hardly anybody knows who he is. Who's not a hardcore boxing fan. Whereas you look at some of the misfits who've got the social media profiles, they know all they are. So, yeah, you've got to have that social media profile in 2025. And I'm surprised nobody who's promoted him has tried to push that a little bit more for him.
Well, Terence Crawford, to say he ain't got a social media following, he's just banked 50 million for his last fight.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, though. But when you look at it, when he was promoted by Bob Arum, he was out in the wilderness for donkey's years. And Bob Arum kept banging on, oh, he's got no profile, he can't sell a ticket, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I was really referring to.
Okay. You think fighters are fighting too long? Joe Joyce 40, Dylan White coming up to 38, Derek Chisora's 42 this next couple of months. Do you think they're finished now, them three? Dillian, Derek, and Joe, Juggernaut Joe?
Well, they should be. And the British Boxing Board of Control should be looking at them, really. They should be. I want to know what the British Boxing Board of Control, what their safeguarding is for these people. Because all they're really hanging around is they're looking like for the pot of gold behind the rainbow. They're looking for the last payday with the Saudi Arabia money. And it's never, yeah, they're going to get more money than they would do if he wasn't around, but they're not going to get massive money. And when you look at it now, I've heard that Chisora, he's been lined up for Daniel Dubois on the Itauma undercard in
Well,
December.
you might think that he can beat Daniel Dubois after that shallacking he got off Usyk, but personally, I think it'd be target practice.
Target practice. And the last thing you want to see is Derek Chisora fighting Daniel Dubois and getting a shellacking like that again. And it's the same with Joe Joyce, and it's the same with White and so forth. They're way, way, way over the hill. And that's what I say to you. Surely if the promoters, because they're making money out of them, the Boxing Board of Control has got to be the safeguard for them because they've got no real financial interest in them.
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that one. Uh, where's John Fury? Where is he? Where is he, Richard?
Well, the hard man. He had a bare knuckle last night on the hard road.
Yeah, but John's idea of a bare knuckle and my idea is totally different. His idea of a bare knuckle is punching somebody back at head when they're not looking in a pub when he's had 8 pints of Stella. Now, John's idea is totally different. He may be under the know doing that, but not one person has come forward and said they had a bare knuckle with him. Not
No,
even the Irish champion for 100 grand, whose name John can't remember. But where do you think he is now? Do you think he's disappeared because his son's been bladdered twice off Usyk? Because we don't hear out from him now, do we? Big John.
no, we hear nothing from him. And the thing with it, he blocked his copybook, didn't he, when he had but he won a U6 team. And I think sort of when he went out there in Saudi Arabia, he's sort of like them sort of people aren't gonna take for that. And so somebody will have taken him to one side, and he's just been put on the back burner now. And I think probably Tyson Fury's fed up of sort of like his father's antics taking over the shows and so forth. It's not good for business when you look at it, because Tyson Fury's got all these Netflix, he's got all these different other sort of avenues that he can explore financially. And the last thing these people who are going to sponsor him want to see is like a lunatic like John Fury going around doing stuff like that. So yeah, he's totally out of the picture now. He's selling Kugo vans again in Manchester, isn't
Just Trimble Vans from Withenshaw,
he?
Travel. Well, he didn't carry off like that when he went to West Yorkshire to spar Frank Grant and he got punched upside down, chased out of the gym and wheel spinning off in a Sea Reds Ford Transit smiley face pickup. That's a true story. That's Frank chased him out at gym, didn't you, Frank? Pop, pop, bang.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's a wannabe. Any John Fury never had the talent. If you look at some of his old fights, he was just ponderous. He was garbage. But he likes to talk himself up a little bit more than he actually is. And the thing with it is, he's one of these people that he thinks if you say something enough times, people are going to believe it. But people who've got a little bit of knowledge about him, they can see right through him for what he really is.
Yeah. Okay. Hughie. What next for Hughie now? 4 fights in 51 months. Uh, is it over for Hughie, age 31, or can he come again? He's got a knee injury now. It's not an hand injury. It's now a keyhole surgery on a knee. Is he dropping to bits?
Yeah, he's. I saw him on similar television doing an interview the other day, and I thought you usually look at him and he looks fresh. He looks like he's getting an old man now. And the thing with him is, you look back. We talked earlier about Parker. He fought Parker, didn't he? Sort of like, and probably he was close to winning that one for the world title. That was probably his best performance. But you look at him now, I don't see how he can be out of the ring for so long. And really, sort of like the level of performance he's been putting in and the fighters he's been fighting. If he's ever going to sort of get to any sort of level, he must have to start now because he's just going round and round in circles. But the circles he's going round, he isn't getting anywhere. So I don't know. I'm at a
Well,
loss.
Well,
You
I
feel
spoke out, didn't I? And I said, look, if it were anybody else, right, people on social media, YouTubers and blah, 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 and the rumour mill, they'd all be saying he needs a new team around him. But obviously, nobody dare because they've created such a myth around his old man that everybody's terrified to say anything, but I'm not. So, do you think that he might need a new training team and just a change of scenery to freshen it up?
yeah, he definitely should have done that years ago. And I can see him staying with his father. It's easy, isn't it? I do rate his father as a trainer. I think he's one of the better ones out there, and he tells you how it is, which I like. But sort of like at the age, like you said, he is at 31. He's in the last chance saloon of it, and so if he went, he might be just the spark that gets him going. If he went to a new trainer and something like that, and he should be looking to do that himself. I think he's just fallen into that total comfort of where he is, and he's forgotten about what he is. And what he is supposedly a fighter, but he's a fighter that doesn't fight.
Yeah, well, he's been a pro 13 year now, and in my opinion, if that were Joe G, Bombay Dave, Boxer Size Ben, Billy Nelson, Slow Tony, any of that lot training Huey, they would be absolutely slaughtered on social media, absolutely slaughtered. And all we're hearing is Huey's coming for everybody. He's going to make a statement, blah de blah. He's injury free and all this, and I just think it's excuse after excuse after excuse. Personally, I don't believe these injuries. I think when they're getting offers to fight, because offers do come in all the time, I think when they're getting offers, they're like, no, that's not good enough. But don't do a ticket. Styles shocking, right? Don't let his hands go, and that's it. And not engaging on social media, but that's not his problem, right? Nobody's saying he can't fight and he hasn't got multi-skill. The kid is mega talented. He's never been down yet, but probably because he don't fight enough, does he? But or get in there with enough top guys. But I just think they've missed the ferry now. I do. I think they've missed the boat, and that is just a case of hoovering up the crumbs now. I do honestly, that's how I feel. And I think they'll look to put him in a cash out fight. Do you know, like Joshua wanting a tick over fight before he fights Tyson Fury? I think they could fight Hughie, blow Hughie away, and then say one Fury down, next one to go kind of thing. I think that's only thing they can hang around for now. I don't see any other fight where he's going to get paid.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think he will have had the opportunities in the past, and you've probably hit the nail on the head. He's either priced himself out or he doesn't fancy it, and he's thought he's a little bit above his station where he is. But when he looks at it now, moving forward, when those offers start not coming in, and the offers, the monetary value goes down, I think he will end up getting a decent fight because he's a name, isn't he? And he's a name that one of these upcomers will want on the record. So he will definitely get his opportunity. Who he gets it with is another matter. And when he gets that opportunity, he's got one opportunity and he's got to take it.
Yeah. Do you think that Huey should have stayed up at the Team England GB team with McCracken and them and done that other cycle 4 year and then turned pro at 22 instead of 18?
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing in it. And if he's gonna go pro at 18, he should be farther than he on now at 31. So the answer to the questions is yes, he should have stayed on there, and that probably would have made him a better fighter in the long run. Those extra 4 years.
Okay. Tommy Fury's triathlete in France, and then next day, Great North Run in up north in UK. What did you make of it all? And Tommy's gone missing since he got busted on that one, hasn't he? Pop, pop, bang.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a great lover of these reality TV boxer stroke whatever they are people, and sort of like we touched upon John Fury. He tried promoting him. He made a disastrous job of that, and sort of like build up to the Jake Paul fight and so forth. And he hasn't really moved on, because when you think about it, the Jake Paul fight, a bit of pressure on him, and he did actually win the fight. But since then, fair enough, he's probably made money in other avenues, but he got a good opportunity then to push that forward. So yeah, we wait to see what the next venture is with him, shall we?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, that one. Moving forward, YouTubers with access and Talk Sport being known now as more or less the boxing establishment because all the traffic goes through there now by the look of it. What do you make of it all? And do you think that some of them are too pally and daren't say a fucking word? What do you think?
Well, all of them are too pally. Years ago, I used to watch IFL when he first came on the scene and so forth, and he was enjoyable. You took it for what it is. But the sort of longer that it goes on, one thing I hate in life is people who talk corporate nonsense, and sort of just there isn't enough people in life who tell it how it is, and it's never going to come for those fraternities because they're all interlinked with the promoters. The promoters want them on side so they can promote their fighters. They can promote the voice that needs to be said from them, the promoter, and that all then is portrayed on social media. So it's one big circle. So people like me and you who want the proper questions asked, it's never ever going to happen in a million years. And I haven't watched any of those sort of like those interviews for donkeys, because it's a total waste of time. Because you might as well listen to the promoter spieling out the same rubbish that he does, but it's just in a different context. And the questions he's being asked are all sort of like given so he can promote the vision that he wants to. So yeah, it's a load of rubbish.
Okay, we'll finish off on this one then because we've done 35 minutes now. Uh, Crusher Ben, Chris Eubank Jr. They're having a rematch. The first one were unanimous. I don't know why they need a rematch, but the pair of them, in my opinion, have got nowhere to go. They could get beat against anybody in a 50-50. Anybody in the welterweight division, light middle, could beat Connor, right? Anybody in top 50. And I think the same for Eubank at middle and super middle. So do you think it's just about cash for them now and just rinsing us?
Oh, totally about cash. Unbelievable are the first fights, sort of like with Conor Ben's indiscretion. And that's another thing in boxing I can't stand. He should have been kicked out. Not enough was said of it. He's got the privilege because he's the cash cow. So people didn't throw the book at him when you look at other fighters, what they get. You look then at sort of Eubank, how weight drained he was, how even after the fight, how dehydrated he was. And that again, I'll bang back to the British Board of Control. Where's the safeguarding for these people? That was dangerous. And to put him again in that situation whereby he's going to be draining down in weight, he's going to be weight drained again. He beggars belief. But the fight as a whole, you've got to what? Barely air level talented people going at it, and it'll be a decent fight again. But I think Eubank will stop him this time. I think Eubank will stop him within 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Who's the top promoter in UK in your opinion, Richard?
The top promoter in the UK at this point, it's got to be Frank Warren.
Yeah.
When you look at Frank Warren now, he's with the Zone, and you look at the shows he puts on compared to what Eddie Hills puts on. It's light years away, isn't it? So he's got all the tools now, and he still tries to put shows on in this country more than sort of Eddie Hills does. So yeah, he's the main man at the moment. He's the
Okay.
main man.
Okay. Is boxing booming in England at the moment? We've got
No,
one world champion, Nick Ball.
it's on the biggest decline in my lifetime. Now I'm 54. We got one world champion, haven't we? With Nick Ball,
Male world champion
male world
in
champion. Sorry,
England.
with Nick Ball. You look like I was saying earlier about all the avenues where people have got access to. So, say for instance, people like Sky Sports is all Premiership football. So you got the Premiership football on. So you've got a massive following on there for that. Putting fights on Saturday nights after people have watched the football. Yeah, you're gonna get eyeballs on the sport. Now that they've withdrawn it all, there's no eyeballs going there. TNT have pulled the plug on it. There's no eyeballs going there. And the Saudi Arabia job is ruining boxing for hardcore boxing fans like me and you in this country, because there's not the pool of fighters. I don't know where the next pool of fighters coming through is going to come from, and I just hope that this BBC Two thing could resurrect it a little bit, because you'll get people then. If Ben Shalom does like I said, he just keeps to his lane, puts British title fights, and does like a bit of a prize like fighter format. And also, what he needs to do is he needs to get engaged with his public on just building the profile of the fighters. So people who are watching it can relate to people who are coming into boxing can relate to that man. He used to be brilliant years ago when you had Box Nation on. Because what Box Nation did, Box Nation, they did profiles with Steve Bunce interviewing the fighters and so forth. So people got to know the people when they were fighting. And so hopefully that will take off, and hopefully then there'll be a little bit of a more resurgence in boxing in this country. But to answer your question, I think at the moment it's the worst it has been in my lifetime.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a
Hey,
great debut for you, Richard. And would you like to come on again?
I'd love to come on again, Russ, and thanks very much for having me. It's been a
No
privilege.
problem. You've got my number. You stay in touch. All right, mate.
Thanks, Russ. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.
That was Richard from Chester. Women loving men want to be him. That's about it, really. I better get off for my hospital appointment for my x-ray now. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Don't forget to click the link in the comments section. That'll take you straight to my sponsors, Human Nutrients. Health is wealth. Go and treat yourself if you like the look of the website. And that's it. Don't forget to go and have a little nosy on Porky's International YouTube. That's our sister channel. Booyaka. One piece out. Pop, pop, bang. Max! Give me a ring when you get down to Bridgerweight. I'm going to throw you a bone here. Sure you can do 16, Clem. You've only got 5 Clem to go. Yeah.